Can you name a pivotal moment in your life? Something happened and boom, everything was different. You were different, circumstances were different, life around you was different. Well, today we're going to discuss how one thing can change our lives forever.
Hey, I'm Shauna, and this is Pete with Golahue Family Discipleship. And we invite you into our home every day and ask you to do Bible study with us. This is how we disciple our family, and it works. So we're just saying, hey, hopefully we can help you disciple your family as well. We are licensed ministers with the Church of God, and we simply love Jesus, and we want the world to know about him. So today we're going to talk about that pivotal moment. We're going to talk about 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 11. If you give me just a second, I'm going to read that to you. This is from the NIV. Since then, we know what it is to fear the Lord. We try to persuade others. What we are is plain to God, and I hope it is also plain to your conscience.
So the Apostle Paul says, that there is something that impacted their life to where they were different. They had to speak of the love of God. They had to tell other individuals about that. There's things that happen in our lives that change us. The death of a loved one. Someone close to you. We've both lost parents, and you know what? You're never the same after that.
It's true.
You change. The birth of a child, it will change your life in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Right? It turns things around. Perspectives are different. Things happen. A first date, right?
Absolutely.
Me and Shauna.
Yeah.
We got together. We're still together. So you think about that. That changed our lives forever. Well, what the Apostle Paul talked about here was he said that this event that happened to them was they understood the fear of God. And how righteous, how holy, how perfect God is, and how inferior we are within his sight.
He is the ultimate authority. If you've ever had to work a job and be under someone, there is someone in authority over you. This is kind of like that kind of fear. Someone that you're accountable to. Someone that's going to hold you accountable for the things that you do. And God will hold you accountable. Right. Your parents as growing children should have held you accountable for chores or responsibility, for your schoolwork, for the possessions that you had, your toys, put those up, put those away, or the car, clean that up, make sure there's gas in it. We need to have a reverence to God, and that reverence is we are accountable to him, and he has called us to do great things, and he has given us a gift of salvation, and we need to share it.
In our previous scriptures we talked about, and the Apostle Paul had just previously mentioned that we would have to stand before Christ and be judged. The beam of judgment seat of Christ. We talked about that. So part of this respect is that one day we're going to have to stand accountable for everything that we've done. As believers, he's talking to the church here. And as Christians, we're going to have to stand accountable for whether we were obedient to what Christ called us to do or we were disobedient. And that should strike some fear in your heart. Yeah. Just like Shauna said, if you're an employer and he's giving you a task and he leaves you alone to do that task and he comes back and you've done nothing, you're probably going to lose your job. And that's the kind of fear like Sean is talking about. We don't want to be found incapable before God, because God gives many scriptures, many parables Jesus talked about. The parable of the talents, it's in almost every one of the Gospels. And he talks about the master goes away, gives them something to do. Certain individuals do what they're supposed to do and multiply the talents, and another one buries it and hides it and does nothing with it. And that should be scary, because you know what? When he comes back, he takes his talent away and gives it to the other people. And that we don't want to be that. It doesn't say he kicks him out of the kingdom or whatever, but he loses his reward.
I've worked jobs, and I've also seen some other people get trained, but I've worked jobs, and the one in authority over me will tell me, this is the way we do it. This is the company's performance. This is what they require from us. This is the way we do it. And then that supervisor may leave, and a person that works along the same lines as me may say, oh, you don't have to do it that way. Don't worry. You'll never get caught. Don't worry about it. The Apostle Paul was dealing with some things like that in the Corinthian church. He was the authority sent by Christ and telling them the truth of the gospel. But yet there had been some super apostles, some false apostles that came in and was trying to tell them, oh, you don't have to do it that way. That's not the way that you really have to do it. They were trying to mislead them, and they were trying to make the authority look like they really meant nothing. So that's what some people will do to you. But the truth is that Christ is the authority. God is the authority.
We stand accountable to God.
Yes, that we stand accountable to Him. And we need to know what the truth is. And we need to understand that when we accept Christ into our life, that is the most pivotal moment of our life. It changes everything about us.
So the Apostle Paul, him understanding God and having this fear of God, led him to vocalize his faith.
Absolutely.
He had to tell everyone about Jesus. He had to share his faith because he didn't want them to be caught with their pants down.
That's right.
He didn't want them to stand before God on Judgment Day and not be prepared to be before Him. So that vocalized his faith. You know what it should do for us as well? We should vocalize our faith. We should be sharing Jesus with everyone. We should be making them aware of the judgment that is to come, to flee from it. We should be making them aware of the love and the compassion, that there's an escape from our sins. We should have that same compassion on this world that the Apostle Paul did. And that compassion should lead us to do it with our tongues. We should be telling everyone about Jesus.
Like we talked about last week about, when we find a good thing, we advertise it. We may share it with, I'm a mom. If I find something that's good, I may share it with some other moms,
She'll Pinterest it.
I'll Pinterest it, right? I'll pin it on Pinterest. If we find some good things, we share it. We like to share good things. We like to share good news. And this is the best news of all. And we should share that. It is pivotal. It is a pivotal moment in our life.
Exactly. So going forward this week, read the Bible every day.
Yes.
Discuss it with your family. Discuss it with your friends. Focus on this chapter. Really get deep in the understanding of what the Apostle Paul is trying to tell us.
Right. Make sure that you're teaching your kids. It doesn't matter how young they are, how old they are. Make sure you're sowing the Word of God into them because they need that pivotal moment. They need that life-changing knowledge of Christ and that salvation that only He brings. So we want to encourage you that every day you get up and you encounter God, that you exalt God, that you edify yourself with the reading of the Word, and that you engage the world.
Exactly. Engage the world. Vocalize your faith.
Vocalize.
We love you. Until next time.
God bless you.